Hello students, welcome to the session of history. In last session we have started with the lesson number 3, that is effects of British rule. Before we start today's session, let's see and recall what we learnt in the previous session. We learnt about establishment of East India Company, Anglo-Maratha Wars, dual government, acts passed by the Parliament, and we studied about the civil services, military, police force and judicial system. And we also learnt what were the effects of all these new systems in India. Now let's move ahead. Today we are going to learn about effects of British rule with regards to economic policies of the British, commercialization of agriculture, famine, development in transport and communication system, decline of traditional industries in India, development of new industries in India, and we would try to see the social and cultural effects of British rule in India. Are you ready? So let's start with today's session with the first topic. Dear students, since ancient times there were invasions in India. Many invaders settled in India. They ruled over here, but they got mingled with the society, with the culture in India. Though they ruled here, they never made any changes in the basic Indian economic system. But the Britishers were an exception. England was a modern nation, and due to industrial revolution, capitalist economy was there in England. Now what is capitalist economy? It means this type of economy is based on an individual who invests and then earns profit. He carries out that trade, he carries out that business with regards to profit. So, for gaining more and more profit, British started with the same economic system in India. This system was favorable for the development of England, but due to this, Britishers gained economic profit. But India started facing economic exploitation. So, the first thing that got affected because of this new economic system was the land revenue policy that was adopted by the British, and it affected the farmers of India. How it worked? Let me explain. Before the British rule, the village economic system was self-sufficient. It means all the services related to agriculture were enough for the village to fulfill its needs. Okay? But when British started their rule, they decided that the revenue or the tax that was to be collected by the farmer should be paid in the form of cash. Before the Britishers, farmers paid such revenue in the form of the crops that they cultivated. If there were famines or if there were floods or if it was less rain received that particular year, there were exemptions given to the farmers. So farmers never had to sell their lands, or they never had to take loans from the money lenders for payment of their taxes. But but because of this new land revenue system, what happened that farmers had to pay their revenues, their taxes in the form of cash only, and due to which they had to either sell their lands or to mortgage them. And this is how even the money lenders, the zamindars and the government, all of them exploited the farmers, and farmers became bankrupt. Their condition was very miserable. So this was an adverse effect on the farmers in India due to the new land revenue system. Okay, let's move ahead. The second thing that got affected the farming or agriculture in India was commercialization of agriculture. Before the British rule, what happened that farmers they cultivated only the food grains. This fulfilled their own necessity and also it fulfilled the necessity of the village for the food grains. It kept their land fertile as well. But but during the British rule, they encouraged for the cultivation of cash crops. Cash crops means the crops which had great demand and that received a lot of profit after selling to the market. Which were such cash crops? They were cotton, indigo, tobacco, tea. Such cash crops had great demand and British got a huge profit by selling those crops. This profit was not reasonably shared with the farmers. That is another point that affected their agriculture. And because of cultivation of such cash crops again and again or continuous cultivation of cash crops made the soil infertile. So farmer was at lost in all the situations. He did not get the enough profit even after cultivating good cash crops and he lost the fertility of his land also. This is how British started exploiting farmers. I hope you are getting it. Let's see another point. Now there was a great famine in India during 1860 to 1900. If you see these pictures, you will be able to understand that what sufferings people faced and for such a long time. Farmer who pays attention to the needs of each and every individual in the village himself was miserable in that condition. Animals did not have fodder to feed themselves. There was no water available. And to add to the miseries, the British government, British administration even did not pay any attention to provide the drinking water facility to the villagers. Thousands of villagers they left their villages in search of food and water. Animals died, human beings, children, everybody suffered and died in great number. So what a government actually is? Government is a system that helps for the welfare of the people. But during the British rule, it was not a government. It remained rule only. British administration concentrated upon the profits of the British government, the profit of the East India Company. They hardly paid any attention to the development of Indian villages. So this is how the Great Famine affected India. Now, for the sake of convenience of the British administration, they started with certain good systems. The system was developed for transport and even for communication. In 1853, the first railway ran on the route to Mumbai, on the route of Mumbai to Thane, and they also started with telegraph system. Now, what was telegraph system? It was an electronic system which was connected through dedicated wires and these signals used to communicate the piece of information from one station to another. If you ask your grandparents about the telegraph, they would be better able to tell you that. These days, dear students, it's very easy for us to get connected with any person sitting at any corner of the world. You know, we can send an email and it reaches to any person who is there in any of the countries of the world. And it happens within few fractions of a second. But we are talking about the pre-independence period. So in this period, British started with the telegraph system, due to which the military stations, the post offices and the villages, the administration of the British, they got connected with each other. Using the telegraph, it used to be that some message that was coded using those signals was to be received at one station. Then someone who could interpret that particular code used to type that message, and then that piece of paper with that typed message was supposed to be sent to the person who was the receiver of it. So it took few days for a person to get the message, and that was the fastest communication system those days. Now if we even hear all those things, that amazes us, because now we have habit of getting connected with people within no time. The communication or tapping anybody is at our fingertips. But that time telegraph system was the fastest communication system. And the first railway, as I told you, it ran on the route of Mumbai to Thane in 1853. So why British started with these communication system? Not for the welfare of the people. They did not want Indian people to get developed. It was just for the sake of the convenience for the administration of British. But it also proved to be helpful to the people, because due to the use of railways, due to the use of telegraph, people got connected with each other, and it helped them to boost their feeling of unity and nationalism. Okay? Hope you are getting it. Let's take the next point. Because of this new economic system and more promotion given to the industrial productions, it happened that Indian traditional industries, they started declining. See, there were lot many taxes imposed upon the goods produced in India which got exported, whereas the goods that were imported from England had very little amount of tax implied on them, and due to which it happened that the production that came from England, which was machine made, and as it was machine made, it was superior to the handmade products or to the local products, and as it was machine made product, it was produced in larger quantity with minimum cost. So the prices were also very low, and above all, there were no taxes for importing these production material from England. So because of low prices, people started preferring purchasing all those goods. But when these goods were started to be available in Indian markets, what happened that the traditional industries, as you can see in this picture, they started declining in India. And because of that, many artisans, they lost their jobs, they lost their work, and they became unemployed. So when more and more people are unemployed in any country, in any village, then what happens? The economic system gets affected. It gets badly affected. So it was not good on the part of Indian economy. But because of these policies of the Britishers, Indian traditional industries started declining. So that was a very adverse effect of British rule in India. You can see the weavers, the painters, handloom industry, everything that was very finely, dedicatedly prepared by the Indian artisans, they lost their jobs, because everything that came in Indian market was from England. It was from Europe, which was machine made, which was cheap, which was superior. And so when you will be learning your further lessons in history, you will be able to understand that why Lokmanya Tilak, why Mahatma Gandhi, they proclaimed, they gave a voice for Swadeshi. Right now in our country, we all know that our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji is um, going for, he is appealing all Indians to go for local markets. He is appealing us to purchase the products produced in Indian local markets. Why? Because it will boost the very economy of our country. Now the products that we are purchasing may be from China or maybe from other countries, the profit that is gained out of this purchasing is received by that country. And what these countries are doing, they are utilizing this profit for the development of their countries. So in a way, we are getting exploited, and we are getting exploited knowingly. So now it's time for boys and girls, everybody, to be aware of all those things and boost the very local artisans, the very local industries, so that our economy becomes very strong and we can compete with the other countries in the world. Okay? Though there were not many more supporting systems for the development of industries in India, but still few people like Jamshedji Tata or Kawasji Nanabhai Dawar, they started their industry in India. In 1853, Kawasji Nanabhai Dawar, he started the first textile mill in Mumbai, and in 1907, Jamshedji Tata established the Tata Iron and Steel Company at Jamshedpur. So these were the very formative industries in India. Now, what social and cultural effects the British rule had? Let's discuss. With purpose to carry out administration in India, British started studying the tradition, the history, the literature, the music, the flora and fauna of India. And because of that, in 1784, Sir William Jones, an English officer, he established the Asiatic Society of Bengal at Kolkata. So as all these things started happening, what happened that the newly educated youngsters of India, they felt it very necessary to learn the tradition, the history and literature or the music of India, and they too started their researches on that. And when uh, they started studying their own tradition, their own roots, it happened that it developed a sense of unity. It developed a sense of nationalism among them all. They all started becoming strong patriotic. Okay. There is an example of Max Muller. He was a German thinker. He was a devout scholar of Indian religion, language, and history. So, Indian youngsters at those times realized that if the European people, when they are coming to our country and they are learning our traditions, they are making researches on the history of our nation, so with a view to administer the nation. So, if we, being the very native people of India, it is our first responsibility to know our roots, and they too started learning our literature, learning the Indian music. They started learning about the crops or the grains basically could be grown very well in India, and it gave a boost overall to nationalism, overall to unity. In 1829, Lord William Bentinck he passed the Sati Prohibition Act. So as we have learnt so far the effects of British rule that were prevalent in Indian society, some of them proved to be very adverse, but few of them were literally proved to be good to the Indian society. Because Europeans were the modern people, they were highly educated people, whereas the rate of illiteracy in India was quite high. And because of that, people still continued to follow certain traditions, certain customs, without rationality, or they followed those traditions blindly. That's what I would say. And so there were customs like sati still prevalent in Indian society. Now you must be thinking that what does it mean by sati? You know, in those times, generally, child marriages used to take place, and a little girl, a child girl, could get married to quite an adult person as well. So during the course of time, usually what happened that her husband would die and she would remain all alone after his death. And in those times, the society thought that it would be good on the part of the woman if she too leaves this earth, if she too passes away along with her husband. But death is not in our hand. So what was this tradition, what was this custom, that this lady who used to become a widow, she used to what should I say, that she used to sacrifice her life the when the dead body of her husband was burnt. So it means she used to burn herself alive along with the dead body of her husband. And why so? That was just the tradition. There could be a norm that the life of the women after the death of husband was not good one, that was not secure for her. So these unpleasant, very evil traditions prevailed in Indian society. So because of the act that was passed by Lord William Bentinck in 1829, by law this tradition of sati was prohibited. It means it was not allowed any longer. Okay? So this was a good effect of British rule, that such evil practices, unpleasant, undesirable customs were prohibited. One more law was passed, that was regarding widow remarriage. In 1856, Lord Dalhousie passed the Widow Remarriage Act. Now what is meant by widow remarriage? As I told you earlier, that if a woman becomes widow, that means if a woman loses her husband, if her husband dies, she becomes a widow. Then if she gets married again, it was known as widow remarriage. Okay? Previously, it was not allowed in Indian society, but the widow remarriage could have the assurance for the lady to have the protection of the family, to have the security of the family with the protection of her husband, and it would have been a good opportunity for her to live like a human being. Her right to survive as a human being was protected through this act. So this Widow Remarriage Act also was passed. This again was a good effect of the British rule. In 1853, according to recommendation of Lord Macaulay, English education was started in India. This was a remarkable change in this brought about a remarkable change in Indian society. Because of the English education, the newly educated people in India, they came to know about the European customs, the European traditions, the modernism in their society. They learnt about the nationality. They learnt about the rights of human beings. And so it brought about a sort of awakening in their mind. And then later on in coming years, it turned into the social reformation in India. So because of the English education, what good thing happened? That people came to know about the world around them. They came to know about the values of the life that people are following in other countries. And they also came to know that how Indian people are getting exploited by the rule of the British. And what was the adverse effect of it? That because of the English education, um, for the convenience of the English administration, they could get the people who would work in their government offices as accountants or clerks. Okay, and then English, this language that was made, that was given a good promotion to, India continued even after the independence, and we can see that even in today's times, English is supposed to be, it is considered as something that is very, very essential in India. If we take an example of other nations, they are not much more bothered, or they are not giving that importance to the language of English as such, even for their communication with other countries, or even for the mode of education in their countries. But whereas fascination for English in India still prevails. Now let's quickly, uh, what should I say, that let's quickly recall what we learnt in today's session. We learnt about the good and adverse effects of British rule in India with regards to economy and social life of Indian people. I hope you understood the lesson. I suggest you all should read the lesson thoroughly, mark the important points, learn the spellings well, and try to understand it in better way. I hope you understood today's lesson. Thank you so much.